guys did it with extraordinary talent and athleticism. I just am a glutton.
Joe Theismann is here with us, and NFL great Jerry Kramer here. Mr. Kramer, great to see you today. They played for the Lombardi Trophy. You played for Mr. Lombardi.
Yes, you did. Played 9 years for Mr. Lombardi. Arrived in Green Bay the year before he arrived, and played 9 seasons with him, and 1 season after he became general manager. So I bookended his career in Green Bay perfectly. Not coincidentally, we had 9 winning seasons while I was in Green Bay and 2 losing seasons. And we lost to the Baltimore Colts back in the day. We went to Baltimore to play, and it was a rainy, overcast, sloppy day. And we got beat 56-0. And in the 4th quarter, we got a scrambling quarterback from Oregon State named Joe Francis, who manages to get across midfield for the first time in some time. And we get down to the 35-yard line, and 75,000 screaming fans go, hold, and this whole stadium was going nuts, and they held.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you had one of the great sports books of all time, Instant Replay. And now their sports books come out every couple of weeks.
But yours was one of the first peeks inside of pro football. Had a great cast of characters. Just a wonderful bunch of guys. Horning and McGee were always in trouble, and Bart, who was always in church, and Jerry and the rest of the guys who were always looking for something to do. And the coach was a sensational character and a very special human being. So I think probably anybody could have written a book about that time and that group of guys and the success that we had through the 60s with Coach Lombardi. But I studied him quite a bit. I did a dinner down in Chicago, or St. Louis, I guess, with the Brown Shoe Company. And I got there late. I had about 15 minutes to prepare, and I was not prepared, so I got up and I had a sales meeting, so I told stories for about 30 minutes. And the chairman said, Jerry, let's sit down afterwards and have a drink. Fine. Sat down with him, and he said, how do you feel you did? I said, well, I told him some stories, and I entertained them, but I really didn't leave them much meat. I didn't really leave them many heavy thoughts. And he said, I'd say he was about right.
I do have. What we hear so much about Coach Lombardi and we see film on him, and it seems like what's scary about young coaches today. Everybody talks about don't be another Coach Lombardi because of the way he was played out in the public eye. What was the quality that he had that impressed you the most?
Probably a overall concern for your growth and development as a human being, as a person. A lot of his loud noises were theatrical. Right? Yeah. He rarely got involved in what he was saying. He was making loud noises to impress you, and he wanted you on the bit. He wanted you emotionally involved in the game. He wanted you to give a damn about the outcome. And he sometimes would chew you, sometimes pat you, sometimes do this, whatever he had to do to get you ready to play. And he also said that he didn't have 40 players. He had 40 individual players, and each one of them had to be handled differently. So he could come screaming. This is a long story, but I'm going to tell it. I broke a couple ribs in a game in San Francisco, missed a play, went back in, finished the game. Monday morning, I see the doc. You got a pulled muscle. I said, I know a pulled muscle, Donovan. I don't have a pulled muscle. These are broken. He said, don't worry about it. It won't hurt you. You know the story, Joe. So anyway, Tuesday I'm trying to practice and I'm dying. There's nothing you can do for ribs. You can't deaden them. You can't take pills. You can't shoot them. You can't do anything. So Wednesday I can't. Thursday I can. Friday I'm trying to practice again. Fuzzy and I had a great write-up in the Chicago Trib banner headlines, big old headlines about the best guards in the NFL. Too much publicity for guards. They might get to thinking that they're a little hot, you know, and a little different.
Like quarterbacks.
Well, yeah, like quarterbacks. They might start acting like quarterbacks, they were going to say, right? So he was waiting for a moment to straighten us out. And we had a rookie guard running a sweep to the left. The guard doesn't belly deep enough. He in the back tangle up the blocking back. The runner stumbles over him. I stumble over him. It's a big pile. He comes running from across the field. Best guards in the NFL, Mike. We got the worst guards in football. The worst. No, I'm dying. I'm trying. I'm dying. I'm doing everything I can, and I just something pops. I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna hit him right in the mouth. And I get up off that pile, and he knows where we are, and he starts walking away. And I'm walking behind him, and subconscious is saying, "You'll be fined. You'll be suspended. You'll be out of football. Hell with it. I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna bust him. I'm gonna bust him right in the mouth. I'm just gonna pop him right in the mouth." And so I walk back to the huddle, and he walked on another 25 yards past the huddle, and he puts his hand behind his back, and he's kind of pacing back and forth looking at the dirt. And I'm
staring him down.
I am hot, boy, and I am out of control, and I don't know what to do. And Bart calls a play. We go up to the line of scrimmage, and I bend over slightly from the waist, and Bart says, "Set," and I don't move. I don't put my hand down. I don't do anything. They run a play. I don't take a step. I walk back to the huddle, and again, I'm just still boiling, and I don't know what to do. I'm just, finally, the guys come back for another play, and I said, "Fuzzy, get in here. I'm out. I'm done. Hell with it. I'm out of here." Walk down the sidelines about 25, 30 yards, and about 3.5 minutes, maybe 3.6777 minutes go by, and all of a sudden, here he comes. "Oh, I didn't mean you." I wasn't talking to you. And reestablishes communication, and you don't go have a beer with the guys and bitch him out and say what a dingleberry he was and all that kind of stuff, you know. But he was trying to get me into the game and trying to make sure my head wasn't too big about being one of the great guards.
Right.
And so he didn't really become angry himself. He exposed a loud noise like he was angry, but he was just acting for it. And he did that a lot. I believe he did that a lot. But he would ultimately wanted you to be a better human being. You know, he read Latin. He read ancient Greek. He on the summa cum laude from Fordham, considered the priesthood, considered law, became a high school coach. Had I believe, an overriding interest in the betterment of mankind, and thought that he could have an impact, which he could. You know, as a high school coach has an incredible impact on a young man's life if he can do it properly. So he decided that as a teacher and as a coach, he could have more of an impact on humanity than he could as a priest.
We're talking with Jerry Kramer. We're talking with Jerry Kramer. We've got Jim Gaffigan hanging out with us and Joe Theismann. We're going to come back and feature the Chick McGee Shoeing of the Week.
Oh, yeah, make the pick.
Time to make it.
Time to do it.
The big pick, for those of you that are writing these down, we'll get to that in a few minutes.
Have all of them?
Chicks are this portion of the Bob and Tom Show brought to you by
ProFlowers.com. Guys, Valentine's Day is coming up. Here's a question for you. How would you rank yourself on the romance scale? Most guys say they are a 20 or less on a scale of 1 to 100. If you could do a little better, you'd...
Do you want me to read these?
It's really hard to do this.
I know.
Wait a minute,
You're
Chick's
being
reading?
on all sides.
I thought he
Sounds like he's acting it. Come on.
Here's an amazing... Kramer just called me Chip. Here's an amazing deal. Remember this code, Bob and Tom. You'll need it when you order. Get a dozen assorted roses from ProFlowers.com, just $19.99. A free glass vase, that's a savings of 50%, or upgrade to 2 dozen long strip roses for just $39.98 plus a free glass vase. ProFlowers guarantees delivery on Valentine's Day and guarantees your flowers will stay fresh for at least a week. Call 1-800-PRO-FLOWERS and mention Bob and Tom, or go to ProFlowers.com, click on the microphone in the top right corner and type in Bob and Tom. That's ProFlowers.com, the key